They're readily available at Nissan, but you know, you go through us for the parts, it'll be faster, cheaper. Up to you guys how you want to tackle that. It's every 250 hours. We'll give you a book on it, and it'll have a sheet on it for where the maintenance part is, what grease, what oil. Okay. I showed you where the filter is. You see where the fuel filter is, and then the air filter is up on top. 3 filters, correct. Yep. And then this is a fuel pump down here, and that works on that switch. When you open it up, pressure. That's all it does. On the box itself, it's an enclosed water box, and you see where the line is. And the manufacturer says oil and water mixed together. I've used water in them for years, never had an issue, but even with oil and water, I mean, you see them get locked up, you know what I mean? So there's no guarantee on any of it. When I use water, I usually dump it every day. Screw it in, fill it up before the job. If you use oil and water like that, then of course you got to hold it, always. The downfall of oil and water is when it's pumping, it's splashing that stuff from them arms kicking back and forth. It splashes up on the motor, and covers the motor. So it's up to you. The manufacturer did tell us though, however, that you return it for a warranty issue and there's no oil in the water box, it avoids your warranty.
Yeah. So make sure es importante que sepas esto. Si no lo utilizas con agua y aceite, cualquier cosa que tenga que ver con la garantía, la anula. Tiene que haber aceite y agua. Es como lo quieren ellos. De lo contrario, va a ser bien difícil que la garantía, que la fábrica responda en una situación de garantía.
Only because you're greasing this thing every day.
Todos los días.
So now you got oil, grease, and water down there, kicking back down.
Every day.
Every day. So if I just put water in there and I put grease, I dump the water. There's a drain here. I spray it right on the ground before I leave the job. All that stays on the job. You don't bring it back to the shop with you and drain it, and then now what are you gonna do with it? You know, you got 500 gallons of oil, grease, and water. So it's up to you guys what you want to do. I've seen all kinds of stuff. I've seen Slick Pak, that you use for the mix for the bromite, for the Slick Pak on when you start for the priming. You know what I'm talking about? Priming. The last pumper that you used, did he use a primer agent? Put in the hose before and then when he first started?
Cuando ustedes en el último bombeo que hicieron, el bombero que utilizaron, ¿utilizó primer o cómo hizo para mojar o lubricar las mangueras?
Yo creo que echó agua.
Just water. Dice que lo más normal es que siempre se utilice Slick Pak, que muy posiblemente ustedes no lo vieron. Lo que pasa es que uno echa agua y adentro echa el polvillo. Y ese polvillo que él te va a traer se convierte como en un gel.
Estuve pendiente de eso. La manguera lo puso así, esperó como 30 minutos para comenzar ya a trabajar.
This stuff is environmentally safe bentonite.
And how do you apply this?
You fill a 5-gallon bucket, you pour it in, mix it for 2 minutes, and let it gel for about 15.
Inside the hose?
Instead of a bucket.
Huh?
Un balde.
Un balde.
Take the bucket, before the concrete goes in, pour it in.
Oh, you put it over there, the balde lo botas ahí.
And what that does is as the concrete's pushing, it's swirling, it coats the hose as it goes through.
It lubricates the hose.
Right?
Sí, pero eso lo va a hacer en 2 minutos. Cuando tú lo bombeas, y se lo echas ahí,
before the concrete,
sale el agua ya al otro lado de la manguera y ya está.
Put it in.
before the
Lo
concrete,
lubrica.
you gotta put this in,
Ese tipo tú como media hora bombeando agua.
and that will push the water
Eso es mucho más rápido.
through the hose.
Correct.
And it lubricates it.
And it lubricates it.
See, what happens is if you only use water or you don't use anything, your hoses are going to wear out faster. Las mangueras se van a acabar más rápido.
Where do we buy this?
Nosotros se lo vendemos si lo necesitas. Entonces podemos mandar.
Y eso se echa en cada bombeada.
Cada bombeado vienen 50 cajas.
Every time I pump,
50 bolsas en una caja, vale como $120, una cosa así. Eso es barato.
Okay, we're gonna pour here. We're gonna break the hose down, and then we're gonna go to the other side of the job and set up another 300 feet. I have one of those sitting in my truck ready to go. So I clean up from this job, I go to the next job, or the next on the other side of the building, I pour that in, and that's a lubricant. Now once concrete's through there, you can push more concrete through there. So you could take a hose off, shake it out, and leave it for about 5 minutes, rehook to it, it'll prime right through it. You don't need that stuff anymore.
Okay.
Because you got a coating on it.
Right.
Because, I mean, you guys have seen hoses, right? I mean,
The hoses, yeah.
yeah, they're the rubber in it is sticky.
Yeah.
You know, just from the concrete wearing through it. So when you try to push something through it, what'll happen is the water will stay on the sides of it, and then now you just got sand and rock pushing it. It'll plug. It'll turn it right to sand.
So when you put this one, it takes you 1 or 2 minutes. The water is coming out on the other side, right?
Correct. Well, as you prime, yeah, the concrete pushes it down. Right. And you can put that in the slab with it, or you can hold it on the outside, and then when it starts getting concrete, put that in the slab. It's up to you.
I see.
Okay.
There's no delay on that stuff. Not
No
much.
delay, okay.
There's maybe, the set time might be 10 minutes different than if you didn't put it in the slab. That's it. Now, Slick Pak, just a regular Slick Pak, there was a delay in there. There was about a 45-minute delay. Nobody really liked that, so that's why they come out with 2. So there's no delay. You can put it right in the slab.
The new one we're gonna be coming out is a Slick Pak 3.0. That's the newer one. It makes less of a mess, less dust. So
So these guys mix it up and put it in there too. And then they dump it right on the ground when they leave.
We can do that too.
Yeah, sure. It's a lubricant. Yeah. It's like placing the oil and water.
El agua, el aceite y eso también.
Now, let me ask
And
you
this is environmentally friendly. That you dump that oil and water on, they'll put you on the deal for that.
I know.
Oof, they'll bang you hard for that one. So this stuff's easy, and your MDF sheet is the bag. So somebody goes, hey, what'd you dump? There it is. You read it. Oh, okay, thank you. That's it.
Now, how do we
It's really
mix
easy.
the oil and the water? Because that's, I don't understand quite well the mixing of the oil and the water. How do we do that?
Okay, so there's a couple alternatives. You can use synthetic oil, which is kind of expensive. You can use vegetable oil, and then they make a special oil that already has water in it. And it's usually pretty expensive. It's about $8 or $9, I think, a half gallon.
Okay.
It's pretty expensive stuff. Or, like I said, or you can use synthetic, fill it up with 2 gallons of water, and put another gallon of oil on top of it. And then from the arms,
So
pump
how do you put it in there?
just throw it in here.
yeah, you just dump it straight in there.
Just dump it. Dump it in here.
Yeah, you see the water?
You see it?
Yeah.
And there's a baffle through the center, so one side feeds the other.
I see why.
It's very simple.
Okay. So you just dump oil and water there. That's it.
Correct. And
How much oil do we dump in there? You know.
okay, so I'm going to show you. You see this metal rod here? This is what this rod was for. See the rod?
Yeah.
That's where your oil level is. So this rod goes all the way almost to the bottom. So you're going to dump your oil in first, and when it touches the rod, you'll fill it up, rest of it with water.
I see.
And there's a line on the other side. I showed you that meter.
Yeah, I saw it there.
Fill the water up to that line. Easy. Or I just take a 5-gallon bucket of Slick Pak, dump it in there.
And then oil.
It's
No oil. Once you have the Slick Pak, you don't need the.
Once I have a Slick Pak, I don't need the oil.
no.
It's just the lubricant. Now,
So I
but
rather use
mind you, if there's an issue, Harold, the factory doesn't recommend Slick Pak.
Correct.
So
But the same people are making the piston cups make it for Schwing and Putzmeister, and they use just water. They've always have for the last 35 years. They always use water.
yeah, but they
oil.
let's keep it oil and water. Always is best. Just in
Like I
case
said,
that
it's up to
something.
you.
Yeah.
But when you dump it, we might get in trouble. Dump oil and water.
Now you gotta
Now, I need
dispose
a
of it.
Contain it.
Yeah. And then you gotta haul it off somewhere.
Yep.
You understand, right? We cannot dump oil and water anywhere.
No.
We need to contain it.
You get in trouble for sure.
I mean, if we use the Slick Pak, we don't need to. If we do water only, we don't need to. But if we do
No.
oil and water,
Now, if you do use Slick Pak, like Harold is recommending, just clean it real well. If something was to happen to the machine or whatever, because again, the factory does not recommend either Slick Pak or anything other than oil and water. Okay?
MAYCO, yeah.
MAYCO, yeah. On every other machine in the world, water.
only water.
This one, oil and water.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Entonces esto no tienen que saber que usted es.
No.
Para que
They don't have to know. No, ellos no tienen que saber.
No, y si saben, te crean un problema.
Sí, pues de pronto puede decir, no, yo no te cubro la garantía porque
Yeah.
ustedes no lo hicieron como yo les dije.
Yes, because of the water.
Yeah. They put the shield on, and that was to throw it back on itself. But trust me, it's gonna get messy. The faster you pump, the more it's like everywhere. That's the reason. That's the reason why the whole shield is to direct the oil that way.
But that didn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't care.
So the motor's going to be filled with oil and
It
water.
eventually will, yeah.
Eventually, you just have to clean it.
Yeah.
That's the way. That's the nature of the beast.
Yeah.
It's the way it's gonna be always.
Yeah. So, okay, so you got the oil and the water for the piston cups, and this is just for lubrication on the main piston and the auxiliary piston that's pushing the concrete. These arms will go up and down on a cam lever. As the cam goes up, it lifts the arm up and it kicks it forward and it comes down. Okay. So as one piston's stroking, it's pushing the other one back. One's pushing the other one back. I mean, if you look in there, there's a return spring. You see the compensating spring? Right there? Yeah. That's all that does. So when one's pushing it, it forces the other one back. It grabs some more concrete out of the hopper. The ball slams shut right here. And this is what you're seeing on those stop pins. There's a valve and a ball. Okay. Here. It's just a seat. The ball goes against the seat. Doesn't let any more concrete come out of the hopper. Now it's pushing it one way. Oh. As it pulls back, the ball drops back down, lets concrete back through there, and then slams shut again. Inertia is closing it. So as the concrete's going forward, it pushes the ball up.
Yep.
And it goes out. When it comes back, it drops down, concrete back in. Okay. That's what it's doing 1,000 times a minute. Okay, so where it says here on number 2 grease, I'll give you some grease as a test that I want you to use. You'll get a high efficiency out of it. It's a little bit more expensive, about $7 a tube, but the longevity of it. Each bearing on here is about $500. You don't want to lose a bearing. Okay. Not at all. You can't afford it. Trust me. I mean, that's 3 days of profit right there. One bearing, and there's 500 bearings in there. You don't want to lose the bearing. It says number 2 grease, but trust me, you don't want to use that black graphite sheet. Okay. And when I don't know if you've ever seen water. If you mix water and grease together, the grease doesn't disintegrate. So this stuff doesn't disintegrate in water. Okay. And you can see some of them arms and the bearings are in water all the time. So you don't want them being washed out. You're going to do this at every 40 yards and at the end of the job.
Cada 40 yardas y al final de cada trabajo. Importante. Sin grasa, sin grasa, sin grasa. La vida de esta máquina es la grasa.
Grease is cheap. It's your best friend. Okay. You can't grease these things enough. Anything else, the bearing, it'll fall out of the bearing. You can't grease them. You can't over grease the bearing. None of these. You want to swirl it. So I kind of time them pretty close, but not always. You know, I could throw it in, then he could add another 10 gallons. They're okay. So I drag the water out. I go to the truck and I grab my first hose and I go to the furthest seal that holds it. And when you exceed the seal, it opens the seal up and then lets concrete through. Not these, because they're not exposed to concrete per se. You can't over grease them.
So the more the better.
Yep. Okay. Two pops on each fitting. 2 squeezes. 1, 2. Move to the next one. And you'll hear them. Like a bearing, you know, pop. Okay. It's full.
Así es. Ahora, si van a bombear 80 yardas, pues son dos de esas. Se lava la máquina y al final de la lavada.
Son 10 yardas lo que se pompea por cada.
10 yardas, no, pues entonces cada trabajo. Al final de cada trabajo. Sí, claro. Y entonces, ¿qué pasa? Al otro día, ya el concreto que tienes ahí o lo que el concreto como tal no se te ha secado, no permitiendo que los bearings sean engrasados, ¿sí? Mira, esa es la grasa cara, la que usamos nosotros. Esa es 5 veces mejor que de la que recomienda. 6, 7 pesos vale una cosa.
They're expensive. They're $7 compared to $1, but they're worth it longevity-wise. They're really worth it. Trust me. We use them on the boom truck and everything else.
And we need a special tube.
Yo ya le mandé a don Álvaro cuál es esta la venden en Napa, es un grease gun regular. No, no, solo acá. Todos están ahí en el central. No hay necesidad de buscarle más. Sí. Cada uno va a los bearings. ¿Ah?
¿Dónde le pones la grasa aquí?
No. A cada uno de esos. Esos van a los puntos que le está diciendo. O sea, cada punto de estos va al punto que necesita ser engrasado. No hay ningún otro punto.
O sea, la única grasa de toda la máquina es esta. El resto de la máquina, ningún punto tiene...
Es que esto centraliza todo. O sea, es toda la máquina centralizada en un punto.
Yo entendí mal al principio, que dijo algo que empezaba aquí también.
Claro, por eso, míralo acá.
Ah, bueno, es de aquí para allá.
Obvio.
Pero no tienes que ingresar ahí.
No, míralo acá, para eso se centraliza.
Todo va por manguera. Tú tiras grasa aquí, da el punto que te...
Exacto. No, de esa manera no se te olvida. Entonces no te toca estar buscando y cazándolo a cada uno.
Ahí está la boca para que se le grasa.
Exacto. Y aquí mira, por ejemplo allá, para engrasar el de allá, le engrasas este. Para engrasar el de aquí, engrasas este, engrasar el de atrás.
Tienes que engrasarlos
todos. 2 en cada uno. 2 pistonazos en cada uno.
Al
terminar cada trabajo lo haces. Dos
So
engrasadas.
you'd grease it at the end of the job, and then the next day at the end of the job, it'll last you about a week. Now, if you're doing 100 yards, no, it's not going to last you a week.
No, they're doing Lenos. 10 yards.
It's like 10 yards.
So, no, that's yours.
No, it's yours.
That's keep. Yep. That's what I'm waiting for you.
It's yours.
Now,
Toma.
now, once a week, every good pump man's going to have, a can of oil behind their quart of oil, a couple of O-rings, Slick Pak, the grease. Well, once a week you're going to grease this. You're going to open it up and there's a felt ring in there. You're just going to pour a little bit of oil, screw it back on once a week.
Eso una vez a la semana vas a destapar esto, abrirlo y le vas a echar
What type of oil?
Any kind of oil.
Cualquier
If you
aceite.
look over here, there's a Teflon coating. See that black Teflon coating?
Eso es de
You don't
teflón.
want to lose that
Cada
coating.
semana.
And that keeps it, when it rides on there, it keeps it from slamming. Bang, bang,
How
bang.
much this
Not much. You pour it in there and the felt ring will fill up and then you pull it off. And then it'll just bleeds down.
It doesn't matter what kind of oil.
Doesn't matter what kind of oil.
just please, no
No,
oil.
no, no, oil.
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 Like
Aceite.
car oil, like any
Regular
oil.
car oil.
Exacto.
There's a felt ring. It's like a big sponge, about this big.
Okay.
And that sponge
Once it raises
holds the oil, right? And then as it runs by, it just wipes it, keeps it.
Okay.
So that's once a week. You're gonna do.
Una vez a la semana.
You say you don't need to put any grease. You say?
They say as long as it's not rusted, the chain is fine. Now the chain's going to stretch, just like yellow chains, motorcycles, cars, any kind of, like a timing chain on a car. After 50,000 miles, they stretch. So you're going to tighten them, and you see where the adjustment is. You loosen them up, and then you screw it in. They say you want about a ½ inch of play. About where it is now is about much play. Too tight, the chain will stretch and pop. Too loose, it'll fall off. So you see about where it's at, about a ½ inch.
Media pulgada tiene
How
que
many
tener de.
50? When did you
No, that was on a car. But no, this is, I think you will see it. I mean, that's
It'll
mostly,
go by yardage.
it'll be a judgment
Now,
deal.
if you look here, when you go so far, you're going to have a half link and a full link. At so far, you're going to run out of adjustment. You take the half link out, put it back together, and then you're going to retighten, and that gives you a little bit more. When you get so far, you'll take the main link out. When you stretch it far enough and you lose the main link and you still got too much slack, the chain is done. That's all. If you let it ride too much, it'll sharpen these teeth up like a motorcycle, and then now all three of them need replaced, and that's $1,000.
Maybe more, actually.
So,
Cuando se ve que está ya
Sí,
un
que
poquito
flojo.
flojo.
and this all be in your book when you look over it. It'll explain, where the chain is, how much play. It'll say a ½ inch, about where it's at now. Probably a little less than half, but I mean about where it is now. Pretty good. Like I said, if you get them too tight, you'll know. It won't last 2 yards. Boom! It'll blow the half link off. So if you look in your compartment here, you'll have a half link there. There should be a master link and half link in the compartment. Okay. Because that's it's a weak point in the system to keep you from bending an arm or something else. The chain is the weakest point.
Okay.
So it's designed to blow off. But that return, if you don't have these, you're down for the whole job. There's nothing you can do. So you got to make sure that you do. If you use a half link, go buy another one.
Yeah.
Put it back in your truck.
Si gastas el half link que se te da con la máquina, asegúrate de comprar otro porque ese es el punto más débil de la máquina
Where do we buy those things?
con nosotros.
Tú lo tienes en stock aquí.
No aquí, pero simplemente es que es sencillo. Es algo que se puede conseguir en cualquier lado.
So at all times, if you refer to anybody, us, the manufacturer, anything, they're always going to ask you for the serial number.
Okay.
So you give them that ID number, and they can research and then pull up a build sheet of what actually went on your unit.
Okay.
Yep.
So it's a good source of, what the parts manual. Everything's online, of course, and then when you call us, we just look it up for you. But
Right.
we're going to need a serial number. So we're going to ask you, I'm not near the machine. Well, I can't help you. I need a serial number.
Right.
I don't know which one you got. They made about 400 different engines for these things. I don't even know what you got.
Lo mejor es archivarlo en un correo.
And these are just inspection hatches that I take off. There's 4 of them. If I need to work on it, I drain the oil, take the inspection hatches off, work on them, put them back, fill them back with oil. That's what you see the inspection hatches for. And then you just got simple trailer tires. They're 3,000-pound axles. There's actually a grease fitting in there. When you take the tire off, you see a grease dip one. You're going to grease that about once a month. You think of it as the front end of your truck or your car. I mean, they go 60 or 70,000. You don't need to grease them, but it would be nice to grease them.
Okay.
You know what I mean? You don't want to, especially this thing, blows off on I-4, then you got to leave it on I-4. Or else somebody will come and get it. You know that. I mean, these things don't last long by themselves. Trust me.
Yep.
You better chain it to the ground or drag it in the woods somewhere. Don't leave it by itself. It'll be gone. I mean, we had a couple of them brought to us, back to us, if you can believe that. They were stolen. Tried to sell them to us. Like, well, you know who that is. You know what I mean? So. Unfortunately, construction is really shady still.
So what do you do in that case to that person that's trying to sell you something stolen?
Call the cops.
You guys
We always call the cops, yeah. We don't mess with it, we don't fight them, we don't... What for?
When I
What's
used
the...
to live in Costa Rica, that happened to me. The mechanic was an alcoholic, right? And he stole the starter, okay? And 2 days later, come back to sell it to me.
He gave you a solution. He gave you a solution.
You want to raise
You
or
know,
you're starting
what's cheaper? I bought it because it's cheaper to buy it from him than go to
Didn't you hit him with a hammer in the head or
300
something?
miles away to get the starter. You see? I bought it again. We're going back.
So they're just they're just simple trailer tires. So
That sucks.
as long as you put tires on there that accommodate 3,000 pounds, it doesn't matter. You put car tires, you put any kind of tires, as long as they meet 3,000 pounds. That's all you're looking for. Weight, not so much ply, but weight. I know a lot of guys. There's even a guy a couple days ago called us and said, "Hey, it's on the wrong tires." It's the right tires. They're car tires, but they handle the weight.
Okay.
That's the issue. Not so much the ply. Now the plies means their durability. Now a 12 ply will last 10 years, and a 3 ply will only last about 2 or 3 years on a car. So I wish we could put things that last a million years, but
Exactly.
it's a lot of money. So, and if that return, then we have to build your price way up, and you're not going to pay $60,000 for one of these things. If we put top line everything on it, it'd be nice, but it's just not. It's unrealistic. You got some LED submersible lights, and they work off of your truck harness. Correct. The rule of thumb is, as long as you can see the taillights of the truck, it doesn't matter if you have taillights or not. If they pull you over, they're going to give you a ticket for something. That's what they're going to give you a ticket for.
Okay.
And then that leads them into the prelude of what else? Oh, it doesn't have a tag. It's a violation. They red flag it. So don't leave them the opportunity to pull you over.
So we need a tag for this too?
Florida law says any trailer you do need a tag. But then, like I said, if you can see the backup, you don't need a tag. There's a gray area. Always been. I had a business for 7 years. I got pulled over twice with no tag, and I run the numbers. It was cheaper just to pay the fine than it was to buy a tag every year. So,
We never run tags with any of the units.
So you run the numbers game now.
But technically, somebody told me they have to have a tag.
They're gonna tell you that, yeah.
Yeah, they're going to say it's a trailer unit. Well, no, it's not a trailer. It's industrial equipment. It's like farm equipment. You don't need a tag for farm equipment.
How you win with the police?
You don't.
There's no way.
Because if you go to court, you lose money. 'Cause you take the
Yeah,
fee
but
off.
the thing is, if you get stopped by a police officer, yeah, you're done. I mean, obviously. But I've driven these things all over town.
Right.
All over town. We've done hundreds of pump jobs.
Right.
Never once. We have police behind us. No problem. I mean, they don't want to. I don't feel the police really necessarily wants to bother the working man.
He
Just
pulls you over.
it's because you have something
He
going on.
He gives him a way in. Now he's pulled everything out of your truck. I mean, he thinks there's something else wrong with you versus just a trailer. Trust me. So if he pulls you over, he wants something else. He's just going to. That's the way he's going to pull you over because there's no lights on it. You understand what I'm saying? He gives it, just like you're riding around with no seatbelt. Well, I pulled you over for no seatbelt. Well, get on out of the vehicle. Let's check it out. You know what I mean? It gives them the reason to get in the door. So go give them the reason. Keep the lights working. They're real easy. If you step on them, you break them, replace them. They're $12. Go give them a reason to get in the door. Don't worry. Now there's an O-ring in here.
I just put it on, yeah. You lose it for sure.
Yeah, if you leave it in here, it'll fall out. If you leave it up here, the first speed bump you hit, it'll pop off. So you can leave it up there, but you're going to have about 5 or 6 in the back of your truck. I mean, it's a big problem when you don't have one of these and you get to the job and notice, oh, it's set up and I don't have an O-ring. Now you got to look for some clothesline or rope or something like sticking in there. It's troublesome. Or you got to call somebody and you got concrete there to bring you an O-ring. So everything you're going to have in your truck is duplicate of what you have on the pump. You know what I mean? Keep you from calling somebody. And then this is just a simple fold over arm. You put the O-ring in. You're going to close it, and that governor gives you a place to let the pressure off if you would plug. See that? And then it opens up. If you plug hard enough, you'll plug up in the reducer. That means even if you take the hose out, it's still plugged in the reducer. You're going to have to open it up to get it out. So you're going to open it with your face away from it, boom, you'll hear it snap. Concrete will fall out, and then you can open it up once you relieve the pressure.
We have a section of the hose here, right? The one is coming with the pump. The section of the hose. One piece.
Mm-mm. No. No. It's hoses, complete hoses. We don't have sections. There's no sections.
You're talking about the whip hose on top of the wall that you were going to get them after the elbow.
Oh, I don't. We will use anything. I mean, it's just an old hose. That's all it is. So, but I didn't know.
Remember I told you the elbow that comes on the...
Yeah, we got the elbows. Okay, so we just have to come up with one then. It's no big deal.
About 10 foot.
Yeah, 10 feet. So we just have to cut an old piece somewhere there and give it to you.
Yeah, there's going to be no pressure on them, so those whip hoses...
That has no
At
hose.
the end of the hose.
Yeah, but that has no pressure.
No pressure.
I think I read on the list, on the invoice, says something about 25 feet section.
Yeah, of course, you need the hoses to get to where you're pumping.
Yes. And then you're going to go the hoses all the way up to the to the elbow. You're going to tie that elbow to the...
No, but my question is, you put one extreme here, okay, 25 feet
Go here.
section.
No, you're gonna be there. You're gonna be there.
Reducer.
Oh yeah, correct.
Right, and then you're going to have 200 feet that you can draw from in your truck. You're going to lay them out. If you need 150, just use 150. Put your elbow on that. It's just going to be like this, an elbow. You're going to clamp it.
At the end.
Why you say no section? There is section.
Well, there.
4 sections, right?
Okay. Yeah, 25-foot sections. Okay.
How many feet? You got them 200 feet?
I don't know. I don't necessarily don't know.
I think we discussed 200 feet.
Something like that. 200 feet or something like that. 8 hoses.
So it's going to be 8 hoses?
8
The
hoses.
pump is coming with 100, and I ordered another 100.
Correct.
Because you told me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Only because you don't have 4x4 and you don't have the opportunity to drive up to that. And I never really like that because some guys get right next to the house, and when you're pouring lintel, that shit's raining off out of your truck. Now you got to clean your truck. Or they,
Right.
worse, they leave it on there, and now you're ruining the truck. So it's better to have the 200 feet, and that way it gets you away from... So, and then you're just going to need the whip hose, about 10 foot. And usually to me, an older hose is better, because you get a new hose, it's stiff. You can't really get it in the wall. An old hose is real flimsy.
That's an old hose.
New hose stick it straight out.
Yes, but that's not the same size. That's a 3-inch.
There's a 3.
Yeah. So he wants to see how to connect one. Do we have a 2-inch? We do have several 2 inches. But we'll do that. We'll do that at the end. We'll do the first. We'll show him how to operate it and stuff like that. But then we'll show him how to clamp one down and stuff.
Now, so you fold it over, and then you see where it locks together. I always take the reducer off, because when you're riding the reducer, it'll finally loosen this up. It'll stretch it out. So I take the reducer on the elbow and put it in the truck. And then I just hook the fold over, this is called the fold over, and I hook it to the pump and leave it there. That way when you're riding down the road, it's not stretching it. These things, because you got to tie it here, and you're going to have to tie it here, because if this thing falls over and drags on you'll wear this all the way off. And you get to the job, and now you won't be able to hook your hose up.
Mm-hmm.
I take it all apart, throw it in the truck.
Yep. Yeah, just undo it from there. Undo this one.
Yeah.
And put the whole thing on the truck.
Put the whole thing on the truck. And that way it keeps you from dragging it. You know what I mean? Now there's a couple of ways. I know a lot of old guys will tell you, oh, you fold over, you put the reducer up, and you put a hose around it. You can drag it from one end. Don't drag it. Hoses from here. It'll snap them off. Put a chain around the axle, and then drag it with the axle. Don't drag it with these things. It'll snap them off. I've seen that a lot on jobs. And then that kills you. What are you going to do now? You're done. You break the fold over, you're done. You know. I mean. So you got the battery on the machine. And it's just a
batería.
right.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a 65. It's a class 65, so it's 650 cold crank amps. It's real small. You know, for the engine, they put these engines in a million things. You won't have too much trouble with the engine, trust me. I mean, they put them in generators and water pumps and forklifts and man, everything. It's an industrial engine, so you can get them fixed through us or through the manufacturer of MAYCO, or you can go to Nissan and fix the engine part of it, if you had a code. And I'll show you where the codes are stored at. So, as far as just the concrete pump, you guys have any questions as far as the maintenance of it?
How you start this and when stop the engine? Can you?
Yeah. Now on the engine side, you have the belt here, and then you have the clutch. It's a centrifugal clutch. So the faster it goes, the weights get thrown out and it grabs it. So at an idle, a low idle, about 500 RPMs, it won't engage. Until you rev it up, it throws the weights out. And what you heard was the belt slipping. So when you plug, it's going to sound just like that. You know you plug. It means the arms have stopped.
Cuando la máquina se taponea con las mangueras o que el concreto se te taponea en las mangueras, lo que vas a escuchar es lo mismo que acabamos de escuchar ahorita, que la manguera empieza, básicamente la correa empieza a deslizarse sobre esto. Esto lo que va a hacer es que esto se va a frenar mientras que el motor va a seguir andando. Entonces la manguera se te va a calentar, vas a ver el humo. Sí, trata de apagarlo para soltar el
You want the belt to slip. You want it not to slip.
Si lo deja mucho tiempo, sí.
It's your first line
Sí,
of defense.
claro.
If he doesn't slip, it'll break something else, trust me. The
Sí,
engines
sí.
are way too powerful. Now,
Esos motores son
you
demasiado
see,
fuertes.
The older one over there, the older MAYCO, it had a Wisconsin
Dis-
30 horse engine on it, and that was way underpowered. You know,
Very strong.
You couldn't overpower it. But on these new ones, they're way more than 30 horse. You can overpower the concrete pump to bend something.
Yeah.
Bend arms, snap chains off, you do damage. So you want the belt to slip. That's your first line of defense.
¿Qué es lo que hicimos ahorita?
Your muffler, your oxygen sensor, just like on a car.
El sensor de oxígeno.
Now I showed you where the sensor was. If the hood is open, you're going to get a light that says hood open, and the sensor's here. It won't do anything. The machine will just sit there and idle. It actually, if you got it on a high idle, it'll actually come down.
Oh, with the hood open, it doesn't work.
It doesn't work. No, not like an older one. I know you've seen a lot of guys with the hood open running them. No.
Only close.
Here's the sensor too, right?
Yep, sensor right there. That's for when the hood's open and you run it, it shuts off. The pump shuts off. Not the engine. The engine will go down to a slow idle, and this light will come on.
So it doesn't run?
Yes, because when the hood goes down, it closes it. When the hood opens, it opens the circuit.
Let's change to red, okay? We feel green all the time.
No. See the? I'll show you. See the ball?
Switch right there.
Yep, just a switch. That's it. So when the hood closes, it.
Switch is
Oh, with the
down,
weight.
Correct.
Oh, you put it here.
Okay, so yeah, if the hood is open, the light will start blinking. You'll know the switch is bad, or you've got the hood open. You know what I mean? Either one, you'll know. It'll tell you. If it does that, the engine will just idle. It won't do anything. It won't rev up. It won't do anything. So when you think about it, all this is doing on the engine wise is when you see that throttle, it's actually operating the cruise control like on your car. That's all that does. It doesn't actually see a gas pedal. There's not a potentiometer to vary the speed. You're running off the cruise control. So you're telling the computer at what percentage you want, 10%, 30%, 40%.
What is recommended on lint?
And it's all feel. Okay. As you guys get better, you'll be wide open then. I've seen guys do lintels on these in a half hour. You can do, theoretically, you can do,
They're going to be doing scaffolding, so it's going to take a little longer.
Yeah. Sure, thank you. So it's all about feel. At first, you're going to get a little slow. You're going to fill it up and a board will blow off, and then you'll know about the nail configuration. Then as you get better, you'll go a little bit faster, and then you get two good guys, man, they'll whiz around that thing.
Yeah.
They'll do one in an hour that's cleaning, taking the boards off, and be out of there in an hour. You just, you got to, and it's hard because, you're going to have guys that you just get dialed in, and then they pull some shenanigans on you. They don't show up. Or, working. If you got one good guy, I would start training him on another guy. You know what I mean? That would be the way to go.
Yep.
Yeah, get everybody to train.
Train. At least if that guy doesn't show up, you got a backup. Or God willing, you need another pump because you got two crews running, double the money.
Yeah.
You've already got, now all you got to do is go down and buy it. You don't have to worry about training somebody. You've already got them traded, ready to go. So something to think about.
Mm-hmm.
So you're just going to turn the machine on. Pump on means it's engaged. You can use the cruise control. When you go pump off, it's going to go down to a lower state. at 500 RPM that you see. When you turn it back on to wherever you left the throttle to begin with, let me see. Okay, so if I turn it off, it's going to go down. If I turn it back on,
It's gonna go back to the same memory.
Up again. So if you leave it at a medium idle and you turn the machine off, it's going to go down to 500 RPM. When you turn it back on, it's going to go back where you left it. If you turn the machine off, it clears all codes. You start from scratch again. And then the remote switch is when you hook that cord up remotely, 100 feet, you're going to have on and off. Remotely. Now we do have a electronic on and off kill switch that's on a remote system. So the same guy can have it on his hip on the wall. Turn it off, move around, turn it back on.
Right.
He sells them here. You have to ask Edward how much he sells them for. It's
Yeah.
a good system. It's all a wrench pump system, and they're about the leaders in the market.
Wired. It's about you can be about 1,000 feet away from the pump.
Really good system, safe. And they're the leaders in the market. They're really not to me. And these things last. We have never had one come back in 10 years. I mean, it's really a good system. And if you have a problem, you send it back to us. We send it. They give you another one. Boom, you're up.
Yeah, 1 year warranty they gave you.
It's
It's really good.
Edward can show you the construction of these things.
We hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. To continue seeing more content like this, don't forget to subscribe. Also, you can just go right here on this link to our website, liveequipment.com, for a complete list of equipment available for sale. Or just keep navigating to our channel. Have a great day.